Original Devil May Cry director wants to remake the first game. DMC is one of my all-time favorite franchises, and I would love to see a remake. The real point of this video is to show that there's dozens, if not hundreds of games that actually deserve a remake. And if these games were allowed to shine on their own merits, instead of being pushed through the slopification process for modern audiences, I genuinely believe they could be blowout successes yet again. Hello fellow travelers and welcome to the Hardlight Network. In a sea of Skyrim, Horizon Zero Dawn, and The Last of Us remakes, it seems like there are very few examples of a game getting a remake that actually deserves or needs it. And while remakes and remasters are very often just ploys to leverage nostalgia for a little bit of extra money between mainline releases, I'm not actually opposed to the idea as a whole. Your boy actually loves a good remake, especially if the company handling it doesn't significantly alter or outright destroy the original source material while doing so. There are a significant number of titles that I would personally love to see a fully fleshed out remake for in the future. And near the absolute pinnacle of that list is the first entry into the Devil May Cry franchise. And in today's article, we'll be discussing how the director for the original Devil May Cry is actually open to doing a remake. But before we get into it today, guys, do me a solid and hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the content that I've got coming up for you guys in the future, and also take to the comment section down below to let me know which game you'd like to see remade. Also, if you're feeling inclined to give a little extra in support of this channel, there are super thanks and memberships options down below. Feel free to join today for access to exclusive content and perks that you can't get anywhere else. But without any further ado, let's get into today's article. And our reading today comes to us from InsiderGaming.com and is entitled, Original Devil May Cry director wants to remake the first game. Legendary Japanese game director Hideki Kamiya was recently quizzed on the possibility of a Devil May Cry remake. He said it's something, quote, he would like to do, and discussed how he'd do it. Devil May Cry was originally conceived as Resident Evil 4, if you can believe that. The drastic idea change in setup and scenery forced Capcom to pivot, and Devil May Cry was born. Its stylish blend of skill, combos, and flashy action made it an instant hit. Nearly 25 years after the first game's release, the game's director Hideki Kamiya answered questions about the OG title. We learned about Kamiya's thoughts through a video via the Hideki Kamiya channel on YouTube. Do note that the video is auto-dubbed and YouTube's model is constantly improving, so the words might not be 100% accurate. Kamiya was asked a question during the episode, quote, if you could work on a remake of Devil May Cry, do you have any ideas in mind or how you would improve it? He replied, quote, a remake like that, well, I would like to do that. If we jump ahead a bit, Kamiya adds, quote, I feel like it's a game design from 24 years ago, and I don't have any desire to fully remake it with the current technology and game design ideas. Kamiya also throws in a mention of Beautiful Joe as well, saying it's also something he'd like to remake. What would you give to see a Devil May Cry remake? Or maybe a Beautiful Joe reimagining? Honestly, to be completely real with you guys, DMC is one of my all-time favorite franchises, and I would love to see a remake. And no, this one doesn't count. But if I'm being honest, if there's anything that the Ninja Theory DMC reboot is good for, it's demonstrating the point that not all remakes are created equal. Ninja Theory's DMC reboot made a number of significant changes to the source material that were unnecessary at best and absolutely haphazard at worst. Dante's personality and motivations were significantly altered, along with some of the material about his backstory and powers. The game even goes as far as mocking the originals within the first 5 minutes of the story. Dante's nonchalant confidence is replaced with pure edge and teen angst, while the demons are transformed from brooding and intimidating villains to disgusting, vulgar freaks. And speaking of its spiritual ancestor in Resident Evil, the Resident Evil remake was a masterpiece.
And I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Capcom updated the audio and visuals, they translated the gameplay to be much more streamlined, and through all of the changes, they maintained 100% of the integrity of the original source material. As much of a case study as DMC could be for how not to do a remake, Resident Evil is the poster child for remakes everywhere. And I honestly believe that Mr. Kamiya's desire to remake the original Devil May Cry with its original design philosophy would actually be a key factor in doing so. I recently completed full playthroughs of Devil May Cry 1, 2, and 3, and I can honestly say that the gameplay holds up even to this day. It's every bit as smooth and stylish as it was back in the day on PlayStation 2, and honestly, if they gave it the Resident Evil remake treatment, it could be as close to perfect as a series could get. The real point of this video is to show that there's dozens, if not hundreds of games that actually deserve a remake. And if these games were allowed to shine on their own merits, instead of being pushed through the slopification process for modern audiences, I genuinely believe they could be blowout successes yet again. At the end of the day, I really hope that this isn't just idle chatter from a nostalgic director and that he has serious plans to try and push for a remake of this franchise. I've always had a soft spot for the Devil May Cry franchise, as it was one of the few series that I actually played all the way through with my dad and my brother growing up. There's an entire generation of gamers who hasn't had the chance to experience the unique world and tight gameplay that this series has to offer, and honestly, I genuinely feel like the entire gaming landscape would be improved with a remake of this caliber. I genuinely believe there's room for it as well, considering the love that the Onimusha franchise has been receiving lately. Yet another series that began its life cycle as a Resident Evil spinoff. I might just be having a nostalgia-driven fanboy pipe dream moment, but your boy can dream, and even a slim chance at seeing this franchise restored to its peak is enough for me. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much to everybody who has watched up to this point. If you can do me a solid and hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the content that I've got coming up for you guys in the future, and also take to the comments section to let me know if you're as big a fan of Devil May Cry as I am. Honestly, after the lackluster execution of the Ninja Theory DMC remake and the disappointing Netflix series, I'm eager to see Devil May Cry restored to its former glory. Growing up, Dante was peak early 2000s badass, right alongside Neo from The Matrix as well as Blade. And to tell you the truth, Little Scribe had tons of fun hacking and slashing through the original trilogy of the DMC series. But of course, there's still a lot more to cover, guys. So, as always, thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like, and until next time, love you guys, safe travels.